Hey friends, it's Lori with Farmhouse Stencil Shop. I am part of a Trash to Treasure collaboration. It is hosted by This Southern Girl Can and co-hosted by Tapsic Design and Crafty Leanie. I will put a link to the playlist in the video description. I hope that you will check that out. In this video, I'm going to be making two different projects. I'm going to be upcycling trash to turn it into treasure. So on our property, we have a mid-century dump pile. Somebody dumped old bottles. It was their trash from the mid-1900s. And look at this one right here. This is a cool bottle. It says Phillips on the bottom. I'm pretty sure it's a Milk of Magnesia bottle. There's 3 bottles that say Phillips, one that says White Hall. That first bottle I showed was an old Anheuser-Busch bottle. And then there's some other small bottles. So anyways, I decided to use one of these bottles and upcycle it, and I chose this large cobalt blue glass Phillips medicine bottle. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a 12-inch by 12-inch board. I have already stained the back and the sides. I'm going to be using tools to rough this board up to make it look older. So I'm just banging these tools around, just scratching, banging. I pull out the hammer here in a second and I beat the board. I'm trying to just make a white pine board look like it's older. This is a really easy way to distress a board if you are wanting a distressed look. So I am going to put a wire hanger onto my board, so I'm drilling my holes for that. And then I will sand and clean off any debris. I'm going to use some Minwax Dark Walnut Stain to stain my board. Now I'm going to rub on the stain with a cloth, and I'm really going to work it into those cracks and crevices and all those little holes that I made, so those holes will show up. You really want those to show up well. Even when you wipe your stain back off, you want the distressing to show. I'm going to place my wire, so I just push it in from the back, and then I'm going to use my needle nose pliers and just fix the wire where it will not slip back out of my sign. I am going to get to the bottle, I promise. So I picked up a big package of used leather scraps from Hobby Lobby. This is a 2-pound package, but it looked like that I could find a piece that I needed for this project. Because this bottle is a vintage bottle, I don't want to destroy it. It may have been somebody else's trash, but it's almost a treasure already the way it is. So I'm just upcycling it, and I'm going to use this leather strap that I'm cutting out to adhere this bottle onto my board and kind of make a wall vase out of it. I think it's going to look really cute. When I used the ruler, that actually made the perfect size strap too. So I was just able to outline my ruler, and look at that. It turned out to be perfect. And so I placed my bottle, and I am going to use some Quick and Thick on the bottle to glue it right to the board. So I'm going to put that on the back of the bottle, and then I'm going to place my bottle where I want it, and then I'm going to get my strap here and place it over the bottle. Now I was a little concerned about it slipping out, so that's why I end up gluing this pretty good. I put some glue under the leather strap, and I'm using tacks to tack down the leather strap. And then I'm also going to put more glue under the strap that goes across the bottle. You could do this with any type of bottle. You could do this with a wine bottle or a whiskey bottle. I had some old whiskey bottles as well, but I decided on this old cobalt bottle. I thought it would be a cute project. I don't do too much with this color, so it was just fun for me to do something a little different. I really tried to pull that leather as snug as possible around that bottle. I just had a little fear of the bottle falling out, but really that quick and thick glue, it's also made for glass and it is going to hold it in pretty good. And the leather strap is tight as well. So then I trim it off and then I tack down the other side. And I will add that I did let this lay flat for at least 24 hours before I took a picture of it. So all is well. So the next thing I'm going to do is place my stencil, and I'm going to stencil on the word home. I made a vertical stencil that would fit just for this project. Now I am remembering to offload that excess paint while I'm stenciling. I do use makeup wedges when I stencil, and they work out really well. So I did dry it a little bit before I put on the second coat. And I'm going to use a little eyeliner brush to cross the bridges on that O. And lastly, I took a bit of greenery from a Hobby Lobby bush, and the little white flowers are also from Hobby Lobby, and I added in some of that Walmart bush that favors the Hobby Lobby popular bush. Anyways, I added that and I think it looks really cute, and here's a final photo of that. Please let me know what you think. And now on to our second project. I have these old coffee cans. These are vintage. This one, of course, is a Folgers, and then I have some Maxwell House. It says Electric Perk at the top. This one says Electra Perk. I thought that was neat, and they are all pretty cool. And then I noticed that this one right here actually says Drip Grind. So just something different. I'm not using these. I'm using these. So I have just regular soup cans here, and I did spray paint one with some primer. The Folgers can is going to be my inspiration. So I also have this messed up board. It's broken on the side. I am going to fix that. I have my hanger, and I'm going to make a heart for the top of my little wall hanging. So as you see, I just twisted the wire and formed a heart, and then I'm going to twist that, and where the screw sits will be right below the heart. So it works out really good. And then I'm using the nail holes in this old board that were already there, and that also worked out good. And I'm just going to fashion my hanger where it will not slip out again. But this time I'm just going to do two little loops. I'm just curling them down just like that, but I'm not curling them all the way down, if you know what I mean. I kind of want the little curls to show up and make a little cute design at the top of my wall hanging. So for this project, I am using that trash piece of board, and I'm using a soup can. I have some classic red paint here that I'm using, and I'm going to do 2 coats to cover this. And I do have to paint on a little bit and then dry it and paint on a little bit more and dry it, and that can got hot. So be really careful if you are painting a metal can, that you just watch that it will heat up pretty good, and you just don't want to burn yourself. So just a little warning there. I want to remind everybody that this is part of a Trash to Treasure collaboration, and I am linking that playlist in the video description, so please check out that playlist. So now I have placed my stencil onto my can, and I'm going to stencil it on. I started with my makeup wedge, and then I was like, this isn't covering really good because of the ridges, so I switched to this little brush. That was also not doing a very good job. I was actually swiping paint under my stencil because of the little ridges in the soup can, but all is well because I was able to easily fix it with the little eyeliner brush. So no worries, all is good. as you can see, I was like, I had some bleeding, but it was very minimal, and I'm not used to too much bleeding, but trust me, it is fixable. Everything is fixable, right? And besides, we're just crafting and having fun. So I was just fixing it up with the eyeliner brush at the same time I was crossing my bridges. So now after I finished with that, I took some dark gray paint and I went around the top and the bottom of my can. I was using that vintage coffee can as an inspiration for this, and I was kind of trying to mimic some of the things on the can. The top and bottom rim were both silver, probably from age more than anything else, so that's what I was kind of going for. I used some Folk Art cinnamon paint to mimic some rust on the can. I did not add any regular cinnamon to rust it. I just used that cinnamon shade and it worked out really good. I am using my little sander to sand it as well. And then I, of course, went back over the cinnamon to make it look a little bit darker. I don't know if you noticed, but the coffee cans say Electric Perk, and I made my stencil say Electric Brew. So it wouldn't be exactly the same, although I think the Electric Perk would look really cute too. So I'm using some Minwax Early American to stain over the coffee can. And now I am going to attach my coffee can to my board, and I did drill a hole in the top back side of my coffee can. And as you see, I am also working on fixing my old board. I put some of the glue inside of it and I just clamped it down with one of those pink clamps that you just grab at Dollar Tree. So I screwed on the coffee can, and I am going to leave that clamp on there for a good 12 to 24 hours before I remove it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is put some florals in this. So I have my floral foam already put into my can, and I have picked out some different cute summery-like florals that I thought would work well in this can. So I have florals from Hobby Lobby and from Dollar Tree. I like to split my florals up and make little bunches, and that way it just makes it easier to mix the florals together. So I'm placing them into my can, and the little red floral here I put on a skewer because it just wasn't long enough. And then I'm adding some white flowers, and I end up adding even more of those white flowers after the video, and you'll see that in the final picture. And then I needed some more greenery, so I fixed a couple of more picks here. Don't be afraid to move things around on your greenery. You can always make it work by moving one piece to another spot, and that's what I did, and I just hot glued it into place to secure it. And I think that this filled up my coffee can well. I didn't want my floral to look skimpy, of course, so I think it looks nice and cute, and it made a nice summer bunch. And then I'm going to add the Spanish moss in to fill up all the holes, and that's pretty much all that I did. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you'll check out the playlist to see all the other creators in this collaboration. I'm Lori with Farmhouse Stencil Shop. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell for notifications. I really appreciate you. Here is a final photo of my project. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts.